Hey everybody, welcome to Born to Inspire podcast. This is Kelly Rowland. Hope you're having a wonderful summer. I'm joined today by Jason Hunt, who's also my, I wouldn't say better half, but...
What?
We have just been through the craziest month. Over the past month, we actually moved 2 households, but we're now living in this beautiful house, and it's been crazy. But we moved ourselves one week, and then the following week, we moved my mother here from New Mexico, so it's been crazy.
Yeah, it has been busy.
Yes, and things are finally starting to settle down and getting back to normal. But today, we're actually going to talk about creativity and what to do to kind of reinvent yourself when you're doing the same thing over and over again. You know, how do you get those creative juices flowing again when you're sort of running out of ideas?
I think first we need to say why you want to do the same thing over and over again. And I know if you're on YouTube or you want to become a YouTuber, the first thing they tell you to do is to niche down. You want to get a niche that people know you for. So in my case, I don't do just video games. Video games is a niche, but you want to get deeper than that. And so I just focus on one game, and I just play one game all the time, and I put out videos on different aspects of it. So I'm constantly putting out videos about how to do this, how to make money, how to beat the game faster, all these different aspects, but it's always the same game. And so eventually, and they tell you to do that, that way you become the known person for that. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing videos on cooking, you could be a special food. You only cook Italian food, or you only cook French, or whatever happens to be the case. But eventually you just get burned out. You're like, okay, I've made, 100, 200, 500 videos on Italian cooking. I mean, my brain is fried. I'm tired of it, and I've made every recipe 2 times over. How do I, what do I do next? And that is the biggest hurdle a lot of YouTubers run into specifically, but I mean, it could be in a lot of different aspects. Like if you're a painter, you're painting the same thing and you're really good at making this one thing. You're good at painting flowers. Eventually you're just like, well, I've painted the same flower a lot and I'm kind of bored. I want to expand out, but I know that people only buy my sunflower paintings. And so I need to make sunflowers, but what do I do to change it up and get the creative juices going? And it really is. It's one of the hardest things to do. And for me personally, I've been playing the same game for about 3 years now. I've made nearly 1,000 videos on this one video game constantly, every day in and day out. And the thing that I've found that actually helped me be creative is taking, number one, the biggest thing is take a detour. If there is something, I know that, when you're doing your hobby as a job, it stops becoming a hobby. It stops being the fun thing that you used to do in your spare time, and now it's work. And I have to do this or else I don't get paid. If I don't make this painting and sell it, I don't have any money to pay bills. If I don't make this video on YouTube, I'm not going to get the advertising revenue and I can't pay my bills. And so it becomes a job and you start getting burned out because you're like, I have to do it. So instead, you could just say, you know what? I know that, I make 5 videos a week, or I paint 5 paintings a week, and all of them are the same topic, the same thing. They're all sunflowers and, different aspects and different backgrounds, or they're all the same video game. Making 5, I'm going to make 4 of those and do one video that is something different, completely off the wall, and I'm not expecting anything from that video. It's great if it happens, but I'm not expecting anything from that video because it's not my normal thing. So I'm going to play some random video game that I want to play personally, and maybe the people who follow me, who watch my videos, they might be interested too. Who knows? Probably not, but I'm not expecting them to be. I'm just doing it half for me, a little bit for them, and just to see what piques their interest. And the second thing I would say is find a different way to do it. Like for me personally, it was always how to make money the fastest in this video game. Well, if you can only do that so often and so much, if you make the same video, how to make money the fastest January 2021, how to make money the fastest February 2021, it's the same thing over and over. So I've started trying to put a twist on it. So it's more of not how to make money the fastest. In this example, it would be how to make money the fastest while one eye is closed. Or how to make money the fastest without using some object in the game that everyone uses. Or I'm going to paint sunflowers, but I cannot use the color yellow. Okay, that's going to be very hard and very different, and you can find a way to do it. Or I'm going to paint sunflowers, and you add in something that makes it more difficult or more of a challenge because it gets your creative juices going, because now you're not just doing the same thing over and over. You're finding a different way to do it, and it's more interesting for the people who enjoy buying your items or watching your videos or listening to whatever you're doing, listening to your podcast. You find a different way to, or a different aspect or a different topic or a different way to say something. And people are like, wow, I've never actually thought about doing it that way. I wonder, can you make a sunflower without using the color yellow? Things like that. Or how do you fix a tire? How do you fix a flat tire without using your tire iron if you're stuck and you don't have a tire iron? That's interesting. That's interesting. I might need to see that. What if I don't have a tire iron? Things like that. It sparks your own creativity, and it makes it more fun. It's not the same thing over and over. And so those are the top two things that I usually use. Either take a break, and not completely, especially if you're doing this and it is your job, you're dependent on it for money. You can't just turn it off, because that wouldn't be beneficial to anybody. But if you just take a little bit of a detour and just say, hey, look, it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I'm making the things that I know will make the money and people are interested in. 20% of the time, one video, I'm just going to do for myself. And if it's popular, that's a bonus. But if it's not, it's okay. I took a day off, a little mini vacation from my normal day-to-day grind. Because you don't want it to turn into a grind, because then you get frustrated. It's not fun anymore. And then people start seeing it. They're like, oh, he doesn't sound like he's happy, or she doesn't look like she's painting in a great way. This is her 500th sunflower and she just seems angry about it. You don't want that to happen. So just a mini vacation would work a lot of times, or just change it up. It's the same thing with a twist.
Yeah. And especially, I think, when you are angry or in a bad mood about something and you're trying to create, that kind of shines through in whatever you're creating. Exactly. So it's really important to make sure you're in the proper frame of mind. And I know as a writer, a lot of times, because I do blogging and I also am working on a book, if I'm working on my book in the morning and I just reach a point where I feel stuck and I'm not sure where to go, I'll switch over to the blog article and write in that a little bit. And that kind of, I don't know, it shifts your thinking and it kind of keeps the creative juices flowing. So you're not just, sitting idle doing nothing.
Exactly. Or you're not mad about it because you're frustrated. I can't do this and I can't figure it out. And when you're mad, number one, it makes it just sound angry. I mean, I worked in radio and they tell you smile, even though in radio you can't see the person, but instinctively when you smile as you speak, you actually have a happier tone. You just can't help it. You're just natural reflection in your voice. When you smile, you're happier. And so you sound happier. And so it's the same thing whenever you're creating something. If you're making a video or if you're painting or writing, if you're in a bad mood or you're in a bad, you're just angry, it will come through and people will just be like, and they might not even know what it was, but they'll just be like, that video or that article just, it didn't ring with me. It didn't, hit with me like you normally do. I don't know what happened, but it was just off. And when you look back at it, you're like, well, yeah, that was the day I was really mad. I had a bad day. I came home and I decided it was a great idea to write or to paint. And I was painting mad and I was writing angry, and it just came through.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do if you wake up one morning and you just don't know what to do on your YouTube channel and you're just not feeling it? What do you do? I mean, do you try something differently other than videos to stay creative, or do you just kind of chill for a while and take it easy?
I would say I do that. I mean, there is days where and for me, there's different levels. There's days where you wake up and you're just, I'm tapped out. I have no idea what I'm gonna record. I have no plan for the day. I didn't write a script. I didn't plan out a video the prior day because just I'm burned out. I've been doing it for so long, and I'm tired. And when I wake up that day, and I'll go to my office and I'll just say, you know what? Today is not the day. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to rush something because then it just sounds half-hearted. And then, or it's not planned out, and it's going to take me twice as long to record it because if you don't plan it and you just start recording or do whatever, it's going to take you twice as long to figure out what you're trying to do. And so those are the days I will just take off and say, okay, or I will do an experimental video. Like I said earlier, the second thing you would do is, hey, look, I'm going to do a video on something completely different. And if it works out, great. I'll sit down in a whole different game, and I'll just play it, and I'll say, that's really fun. I'll do a video on that thing. And I'll record it, I'll look at it, and if it sounds like a cool video or if it's interesting to me, I'll put it up on YouTube. If not, then it's like, okay, I recorded a video, I thought it was going to work out, it just didn't work out for whatever reason, no big deal. I took a day off. And the one trap about that is you take a day off. You don't take off a week or a month. You don't want to make the habit of not doing it. You want to make the habit to do it with the exception of, oh, there's one day here or there that I just decided, hey, look. And I mean, vacations are different. Like if you're going with your family or you need some, me time or whatever, and you say, I'm taking off a week, and you let people know, like especially on my YouTube channel, I will let people know during our move. I said, look, guys, the next week is going to be hectic because I'm literally packing everything up. All of my microphone, my equipment is going in a box, and I have to move it to another house and set it back up again. It's going to be a week without videos. I tried to record as much as I could beforehand, but there's going to be a couple days here or there, or maybe like 4 days where there's no video, and I let them know and just say, don't expect it. I'm not gone forever. I'm just really busy. Life happens. And so there's that aspect of it. But when you just take a voluntary, like, I need a day to unplug, whatever you're doing, if you're creating visually on painting, you just say, look, I'm tired, I don't want to do it, I broke my arm, I can't paint. Okay. You can't help that. So just don't make it a habit voluntarily, but life happens and you just have to understand it. But yeah, on those days I wake up and I'm just like, I can't do anything, I don't try to force it. I used to. When I first started my YouTube channel, it was I had to put out at least one video a day. No matter what it was, I had to sit down. I had 2 hours every day because I was working a day job as well. I had to work in my day job, come home, 2 hours. I had to make a video, and I had 2 hours to do it. And there was days I was so burned out, I had no idea what I was going to do, and I just sat there and I forced it out, and it was not good, and it didn't feel good. I was mad. And watching the videos now, they're still on my YouTube channel. I still have them up, and I go back and I'm like, wow, it sounded bad. I just sound uninterested. I'm just there talking monotone because I didn't want to sound angry, but while not trying to sound angry, I just sounded bored the whole time. It doesn't sound good, doesn't look good. It would have been better if I didn't put the video out at all, but I did, and I can learn from it and just say, you know what, if I would have taken that day off, taken the 2 hours I had and just relaxed and said, okay, I'm not gonna force myself to make a video today. I'm gonna take those 2 hours instead to plan for my video tomorrow. And maybe that's what you do. Maybe you sit up and say, I have no plan for the day. I don't know what I'm gonna write. I don't know what I'm gonna draw. So I'm gonna actually spend time brainstorming today. I'm gonna listen to my favorite music or my podcast or whatever happens to be the case. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna watch a movie in the background while, just to have some noise in the background. I don't know if you're the same way. I love to have something going on in the background while I'm doing something else, while I'm working. I like to have something in the background to listen to, whether that's a podcast or music. And I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do? What sounds good? I'm just thinking of ideas like, oh, that sounds good. Well, no, maybe not. Or I can film it this way, or I can write it that way, or I can make a whole article about this, or what if I painted that? And you brainstorm it, and that way you have a plan going forward. That way the next day you wake up fresh, you're good to go, and you're like, I have a plan, I'm good to go.
And I think that's one thing you brought up a point about, going back and listening to or watching different videos that you've done and being able to tell that you just weren't fully present, or you weren't there, or you were in a bad mood. I think that's a really good thing for us to do as creatives, is to go back and really look at your work and really, be able to look at it and analyze it and determine if you were in the right mood when you created it.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me personally, I love that. And I say I shouldn't have put it up, but in retrospect, I'm glad I did, because then I can go back and see it and go, that's not a video I would like to do. So if I ever see that again, I'm like, no, that's not a video. Number one, you can tell from all the comments, instead of saying, well, we're so happy, or in general, on YouTube, you'll get probably 80 to 90% happy comments of, oh, thank you for putting up the video, or this helped me a lot, or I appreciate you for doing this. But you'll always get around 10% negativity, no matter what you do. You can make the happiest, best video ever. There's going to be that one person, at least one person, who thinks it was a terrible job. You should never do it again. You're a terrible person for doing it. And so you learn to drop those off. But when I go back and watch these videos that I know I was in a bad mood, or I was rushed and I was just trying to put something out, I didn't care what it was, all the comments were just like, are you okay? You don't sound very good today. You sound down, or you sound depressed. And I wasn't depressed. I was just not interested, or I was trying to be calm because I was in a bad mood, and me being calm makes me sound depressed. And I know that now. And so I know what to look for in the future when I'm looking back at it going, okay, when I'm doing my edits or whatever I'm doing, cleaning up things, I look at the video. I try to watch every single video I put up on YouTube, because if it's not interesting to me, why would it be interesting to anybody else? And so when I watch it, I'm just like, this doesn't feel good, or this doesn't sound good, or I definitely, I was in a bad mood, or I was sick that day and I should not have even tried to be on the microphone because my voice is so raspy, it's terrible. You can go back and look at all those things. And I would also say there's a benefit to... They always, as a general rule, I try to do quality over quantity. So instead of trying to pump out 10 videos a week, no matter how good or bad they are, I just want to make sure I hit that number, 10 videos a week. Instead of doing that, I want to do quality. So if I only put out 5 videos that week, but they're really good, I'd rather do that than the 10 videos that were mediocre or average. But I will say that there's a huge asterisk next to that, because I think that when you're first starting out, when you're first writing, or when you're first painting or making videos, or whatever happens to be the case, recording a podcast, you don't know where that bar of quality is because you've never done it before. And so I think the best tip I could say is, when you're first starting out, do as much as you can and don't worry about the quality. Don't worry about how good or bad it is. Just do it, because you're trying to familiarize yourself with the process. You're trying to learn how to do it on a different scale. It's way different when you're doing it in your free time. Like, oh, I wrote one article like 5 years ago and I thought it was really good. Or I painted this one picture, 7 years ago, and it was really good, and it took me 3 days to do it. Well, if you're trying to create content for other people to enjoy, there's a certain time to benefit ratio where you can spend 10 years perfecting it, but it's not going to be worth the time and the effort if you're trying to monetize. If you're just doing it to be creative, go for it, spend 10 years perfecting something. But for me, I know that on YouTube, you have to have a steady pace. You have to be at a regular interval, whether that's one video a week or one video a day or one video a month, or however you do it. When you set some kind of a schedule and say, okay, I'm going to do one video a day, and you just commit to it, especially when you're brand new, you've never done it before, you don't know where your quality bar is. And so you do one video a day and you're pumping them out, and you realize, that's not enough time for me personally, because it takes me this many hours to do that, or, I have to prep or something like that. So actually I should be doing 3 videos a week. Instead of one a day, I should do one every other day. That'll give me enough time. That's how you know you can set your quality bar, but you don't know that to begin with. And so I would say there's a difference between forcing something and just not knowing where the bar is. So if you don't know where the bar is, put it out. The first year I did YouTube, I did one video a day. And I know that I can go back and look at it and go, yeah, that's probably not good, at that time. But the other difference is I did in that first year, there's 365 days in a year, and I put up 500 videos. So there was days where I was putting 2 and 3 videos up in one day. And that was because I was starting to catch up with my process. I figured out, okay, I can do this faster, or I don't need to do that every single time, so I can just get rid of that step and it makes me quicker. And so my quality bar adjusted during that time. And now I know I can put out 1 video a day. If I want to put out something really, really substantial, something that's heavily edited, something I'm aiming really high for, like it's going to be my high quality thing, it's going to be maybe one every other day. I might take a full day just to clean it up, edit it, do whatever I need to. But that's for me personally. Somebody else who's way better at editing can just snap their fingers and they can do that in 2 hours, where I know personally it takes me 6 hours to do, but they're faster and they're better at it than me. There's a difference between quality and forcing yourself to, and you need the experience of doing it to know, okay, this is how I behave when I'm forced to do something, and this is how I just normally am. And there's a quality bar for everyone. There's people on YouTube that are way better editing. I watch their videos and my brain melts because of how good they are at editing. And it's not that I'll never be there. I'm sure if I sat down and I spent hours learning and practicing, I could get there. But I don't have that talent right now. And so I don't expect myself at this point to be that good. But on the flip side, there's also videos that I've done in the past and I look at it and go, that is way below my bar of quality, my personal bar of quality. So I know I could do better than that. I just reach for the stars, and if you miss, you'll hit the moon, or aim for the moon, and if you miss, you'll hit the stars. I think that's the quote. And so, you're not expecting miracles. You're not going to be the best. I'm sure there's one person out there that is the best at whatever you're doing. And not everyone can be that one person. There's a million other people who are similar or close, and you might be able to get close, but realistically, just be realistic with yourself and realize this is what I could do, and this is the time frame I have. Perfection is never going to happen. Even videos today that I'm very proud of, I could say this is wrong, or that is wrong, or I should have cut that, or I should have added this. Every day, I know, but I also realize that, look, I can nitpick this video for the next 2 months and find everything and still not be perfect. So it is what it is. I know that this is my level of quality. This is my bar is set right here at this point. So this is okay. This is able to be past my bar of quality.
Before we go, I want to talk to you about one last thing. In my creative outlets, I don't really have a community. Like I don't have a writer's group, or I don't have an artist group. And I really feel like that's something important, and I feel like that's something that you've really created. You not only have a community with your listeners or your YouTube community, but you also have a community that you've built with other YouTube creators. How have you been able to build that up, and how important is it to your creative process?
I would say that if you would have asked me that a year ago, I would have brushed it off and said, nah, it's not really that important. But now that I've actually taken the time and I've reached out, because especially with the video game that I chose, not very many people were playing it, so it was hard to find other people. And so as the community of people playing the game grew, number one, I got more viewers to actually watch my video, which is great. But there's also other people on YouTube making videos, which is even better, because then I can talk to them and say, hey, did you notice this thing? Did you get it to work for you? Or, hey, did you cut a video on that? I'd love to, cross promote with you. And to me is something that's amazing. I mean, because my channel has been around for a while, and I have a pretty big viewer base, but there's not very many people who are creating videos in this space. So whenever I see someone doing it, I love that, and I want to actually try to help them out, because I don't know if your listeners have children or not, but you always see your kid, you're like, okay, when I was a kid, I went through that same thing, and I want to try to help you not go through that problem. I know that there is this pitfall or that pitfall, or this is just, you're going to try this, but it's never going to work. And I didn't know that, and I tried it for 6 months or whatever, and it just didn't work. You should ignore it. It'll save you time. It'll save you that 6 months. You don't have to worry about that. It's never going to work. And so I love that part of it. And then there's the part of it of the community that I'm a part of. We love to share things with each other. So they might find something and say, hey, did you notice this in the game? Did you see you could do this? And I say, no, that's amazing. I'm going to cut a video on it. Are you making a video? And we just share each other's videos and we share ideas with each other. And I think that is an amazing tool to have, especially as a creator. I mean, you can get on Facebook. There's Facebook groups where people are just like, hey, look, I love to paint daisies. And everyone's like, I love to paint daisies too. And then they share. Number one, you can share your craft with other people. But two, you can get someone who's way more experienced than you, and you can say, hey, look, this is what I want to try. Do you have any experience with that? And they can say, oh, yeah, I've done that a million times. This is what you could do to make it easier for yourself. Or they can say, I've never done that before. That sounds interesting. I would do that because other people might find that interesting too, and you can kind of bounce ideas off each other like that. And I love it. And also you can raise each other up. Someone who, especially on YouTube, my channel, I have 137,000 subscribers, and someone else, another creator has 50,000 subscribers, and I'm more than happy to say, hey, look, this guy, he's making amazing stuff. Go over there and check out this video, and he'll bounce an idea off me and say, hey, look, I'm trying this thing in No Man's Sky. Have you done it before? And I'll just say, no, I've never done that before. That sounds awesome. Make that video and give it to me. Send it over. Send me a link because I want to see it. And when I watch it, I'm really excited. I'm like, this turned out really cool. I love that. And I'll share it with my subscribers, and they'll go over there and watch his stuff, and vice versa. He'll say, that's an amazing I didn't think you could do that with your video. And he'll tell his audience, hey, go over there and check this out. This is amazing. And we're just helping, a rising tide raises all boats. I mean, we all help each other, and it's amazing. Whereas, a year ago, I would not have even thought about it. And I think it was more from a mentality of I felt like I was alone because there was not very many people out there doing what I did. Or focused on the video game that I was focused on. But with time and other people being interested in it, I'm sure these guys were out there. I just didn't see them, and I wasn't looking. So I think that if I would have looked a year ago, it would have benefited me more. Whereas, my eyes were closed a year ago, and I wish I would have been open. Just like I wish I would have done YouTube 10 years ago. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. But now I know, and I share that with everyone else now that I can. Like, hey, look, if you want to be creative, you want to go on YouTube, don't think about it anymore. Just do it, because you're going to regret it 3 years from now. When you finally do start doing it, you're going to say, this is so much fun. I don't know why I didn't do it 3 years ago. Do it now. Just do it today.
Yeah, and one thing that you really got to be careful of, and I'm so guilty of this, is expecting perfection, waiting for everything to just be perfect before you put it out there. I am so bad at that, but you got to just put it out there. You got to create what it is you're going to create, and stop waiting for everything to just fall into place and be perfect.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I think most people are guilty of. For me especially, it is one of those things where you want it to be good because you want it represents you. You want it to be perfect. You don't want anything wrong with it. When you don't realize that people are way more forgiving than yourself. I hate the way I sound. I hate my voice. But most people, not everyone, I'm sure there are people who hate my voice too. They will agree with me. But most people, they don't care. They don't nitpick on the things that I nitpick on whenever I speak or whenever I'm doing a video. And I watch the final quote-unquote product when I'm done editing the video. And I'm like, well, that doesn't look good. This could be done better. But realistically, I don't have the time, and it's not worth the effort because most people aren't going to see that because they're not nitpicking like I am. I'm looking at every frame of this video, and most people will either just be listening to it or they're going to be looking at it, but they're not going to be inspecting frame by frame every single thing. And it's the same thing with writing. Most people, not everyone, most people are going to read something and get the overall idea of it and go, that's amazing. You'll run into the small group of people who are like, well, you misspelled this word or you used that word in the wrong way. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, I could do better. Perfection is a possibility, but it's not an expectation. And that's where you have to set. It's the quality bar I talked about earlier. You have to go in, know what your own quality bar is, and realistically go, look, there's going to be flaws in it. I could have said this a different way. I could have written it in a different way that made it more, made it sound better. I could speak in a different way. But the overall package, what I'm trying to convey, gets across. It's just not in the cleanest perfection way. And over time, you will actually learn to get better. I mean, if I take any video I've made today versus 3 years ago, it would have taken me double the amount of time, and it would not have been as good as it is today. But now I know it takes me this much time. I can do it, and it's better than it was. And I know 3 years from now, I'll be even faster, and I'll be able to recognize the pitfalls, the potholes of, I did this on a video last time and it didn't really work out, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Or I painted with this brush before and this brush just did not work out. I thought it was a really expensive brush and it's supposed to be amazing, but it just doesn't work for me. I don't know how to use it correctly, so I'm not even going to waste my time with it. Or I wrote about this subject and it's not in my heart. I don't really care about it, but I wrote about it because it's popular. And it just didn't hit. My audience just didn't care. So I can avoid that or just not worry about that topic, even if it's a very popular topic. Like on YouTube. If you're a video game YouTuber, the biggest thing is Fortnite and Minecraft. But I don't do any of those videos because, number one, they're not in my interest. I know that if I'm playing them, I'm not going to be as happy. I'm not going to have as much enthusiasm about it, and my audience is going to hear that. And number two, my audience just doesn't care about it, and there's plenty of other people doing it, so why would I throw myself in that gigantic ocean of other people doing it when I could be a big fish in a small pond over here? And eventually I might make it to the ocean, and I want to get to the ocean, but I'm not in a rush to do it.
You are never at a loss for words. I never have to worry about you. I've done podcasts that are like 10 minutes long. Yeah, don't have to worry about that
Benefit
with
of
you.
being in radio.
Yeah, exactly. You had plenty of practice. So anyway, thank you so much, Jason. And wasn't it wonderful to do a podcast in this big, spacious office I have now?
Yes, and it's cooler. It's nice and cool down here.
It's cooler. And just to explain a little background, Jason and I used to have our offices in the same room, this cramped little tiny room. And
slash bedroom. And now we have this huge house, and it's so wonderful, and we're so grateful and very happy. And we have our own creative spaces now, and it's so much better, and so happy and relieved. It was hard work getting here, but we're here.
Yeah, and we used to make the joke like, oh, I had to ramble my way all the way over to your office. I had to scoot my chair the 4 feet over to your office. This was a trek. I had to come down 2 flights of stairs to actually come down to your new creative space now. So it's actually it actually really is a trek now.
Yeah, I think those flights of stairs have 6 steps each. I don't mean to out you there, but it wasn't that bad. Anyway, thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can catch me on all of my social media, my Facebook, Born to Inspire podcast, and then my Instagram, borntoinspire.co. You can also check out the rest of my podcast on my website, borntoinspire.co. Until next time, have a wonderful week.